What's going on, you guys? Riley here. Today we've got a real special review for you. Today we are reviewing this 2012 Boss 302 Mustang that has less than 15,000 miles on it. And today I'm here to find out, is the S197 Mustang the one to buy on the used market, and is the Boss 302 worth all of the hype it has received over the years? If you've been following Mustangs for a while, you'll know that when the Boss 302 came out back in 2012, it was only a 2-year production car, so 2012 and 2013. In those 2 years, they only made about 8,000 Boss 302s, which actually makes them more rare than the GT500 from those respectable years. When this car debuted back in 2012, it was like every Mustang fan's best dream had come true, because there had not been a Boss 302 since the late 60s, back when they were used for proper racing cars. In many regards, the Boss 302 is pretty much like an older brother of the newer GT350 Mustang that we see today. This is the Mustang that checked all the boxes if you wanted a naturally aspirated Mustang that was good for carving corners, road course racing, and just about anything you could throw at it, but didn't necessarily need or want the GT500. Essentially, this is like an SS1LE for the Camaros or a Grand Sport for the Corvettes. However, here we have the Mustang model, so let's go ahead and talk about this specific one. So, starting off up here at the front, which is the business end of this car, and we'll save the good stuff for last, which would be under the hood, but we'll start off up here with the 4-piston Brembo brakes and the very iconic Boss 302 wheels. And I have seen these wheels on many different cars, but seeing them actually on a true Boss, it just feels right at home. They look great, and kind of just have that traditional Boss look. Everything about this car is completely original, aside from an aftermarket exhaust, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Up front, we're working with some 255 Michelins, and then out back we have some 285s. So definitely a nice profile and stance going down the road. And then moving on to the back here, you have the nice little small wing, which is nothing, you know, too noticeable. And then this one being a 2012, doesn't have my particularly favorite taillights from the S197 Mustang body style. However, they do look good. If it was me, I would swap these over to the 2013 taillights. I think it looks a little bit more modern, and in my opinion, just looks overall better. And then, as I mentioned before, this one does have an aftermarket exhaust. It says here on the tips, Flowmaster. So it has some type of Flowmaster exhaust. And after doing some research on these cars, because I did not know this 24 hours ago, they actually have a quad exhaust system, which I was like, what does that mean? Because there's only one tip over here and one tip over there. Well, it turns out there's actually some side pipes, which I don't know if we can see, but they pretty much come out right next to where the driver door handle is and the passenger door handle is. So there's essentially 4 exhaust pipes, one here, one here, one here, and one over there on the other side. So kind of cool. It gives you a all-around theater experience, is what Ford called it. Now, moving on to the good stuff, underneath the hood you find this naturally aspirated 302 cubic inch, which is a 5-liter engine that Ford has produced here. It makes 444 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque, and it's definitely plenty in this car. It feels great, feels just nice and linear, being naturally aspirated. For those familiar with Mustangs, it's very, very, very similar to the Coyote engine that everybody has known and loved for years. However, many of the internals are changed and different, being forged internals and things like that. So a lot of people buy these cars for the sole purpose of buying them to modify them, because they can take some pretty serious power right out of the box. And of course, being the track-focused Mustang, you have the nice little strut tower brace right up here, and then the massive Boss 302 intake manifold, which many traditional Coyote owners put on their cars to get a whole bunch of extra horsepower. One great thing about this engine is that it revs all the way out to 7,500 RPMs, which I haven't done yet, but we're going to experience here shortly. And also, you got the little placard there on top to let you know you're driving something very special. So overall, a great looking exterior on this car. Can't wait to drive it, because I really haven't driven it yet. I haven't taken it past 3,000 RPM just to save my true reaction for you guys. But let's go ahead and move on to the interior, where there's kind of a, well, a lack of amenities. So switching over to a wider view now, we'll start off here with the key. Very classic Mustang key. They just put a little Boss logo there on the back. This one is the regular street key, and there are 2 keys. There is also a red key, which I'll show you here briefly. Just lock, unlock your trunk button, which there's nothing really going on back there, and nothing really going on in here either. So the interior on these cars is very basic. You do have the awesome Recaro Boss 302 embroidered racing seats, and these lovely Recaros hold you in very, very well, almost too well. They're pretty snug. And then this one, being a standard Boss 302, does have a back seat so you can fit occupants for your track days. The Boss 302 Laguna Seca models do not have a back seat, but we'll go ahead and hop in on the inside. One great thing about these Boss 302s is that every single one produced is a 6-speed manual, so you can't go wrong there. However, that's about the only great thing in here going for this car. So no real features to really talk about. You have the base little screen here, a single zone climate control, no fancy touch screens, no navigation system, nothing fancy up here, just your speedometer, tachometer, how much fuel you got in the car, and what your coolant temps are, and that is literally it. A nice thing is the Alcantara steering wheel here, which is actually in very good condition on this particular car. And overall, I mean, just, it's a nice interior. You can tell it's a little dated, but overall very comfortable. Good visibility out the front. I mean, actually great visibility. And then these windows on the sides are very large. Looking out the back, also a very good, very easy car to see out of. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 keys. So here is the standard one, which I just showed you. The other one is this guy here, which is the track key. So it is signified by the color red, because everybody knows red means fast. What the track key does is it changes over 200 parameters within the engine. It gives you a more lopey idle. It gives the torque band a totally different torque band. So torque comes on much earlier with that key. It changes all kinds of things. So it is for track use only, and you are not to use it until you're having the car up to temperature. But we'll go ahead and start off with the gray key, the standard one here, and we'll listen to what it sounds like. So as I said, nothing very fancy up here, just all your basics. Now, most enthusiasts will argue that this is how the Boss 302 should be. No extra weight from any extra features or anything that you don't need that will slow you down on the racetrack. So this car comes in just under 3,700 pounds, so it is a pretty heavy car. It does have a solid rear axle, so that makes things a little interesting. And then also this car does have the 3.73 rear gears, which are very short and aggressive, so doing some pulls here in a minute should be very fun. And of course, everybody knows Mustangs in general are quite the handful, so hopefully we don't pull any Mustangs today and end up in a ditch or on the side of the road. But I think now it's time for us to go ahead and take this thing out for a spin, and we'll see what it's like living life past 3,000 RPM, which I have not done yet. So let's go see if the Boss 302 lives up to all the hype and see what RP thinks about it. All right, well, let's go ahead and take the Boss out for a little spin. I'm using a different camera setup than I usually do because I forgot my GoPro suction cup mounts in my car. So I'm using a GoPro Session to record this. I've never used it. I've had it for like, I don't know, 3 years. So we're gonna see how this works, and hopefully it doesn't come flying off the dash there, but let's see how the Boss is. Okay, not much low end torque, but oh my, it's like VTEC almost. As soon as I got past, I don't know, 4,000 RPM, the car just completely comes alive. That genuinely kind of took me by surprise there. This thing's fun. Okay, so about the Boss 302. I've driven the new EcoBoost, the V6, the GT, the new GTs, the this body style GT500, GT350s for the newer body style, just about everything except for this car, and then the brand new GT500. So I've got a lot of experience behind the wheel of a Mustang in general. I've owned a 2018 Mustang for about a year. So deep down, I love Mustangs, don't get me wrong. The one thing I'll say I guess dislike about Mustangs is that they don't make much torque until you really start to rev them out. That's where the, Chevy engines kind of have that's where they shine, is all the low end torque. You don't really have to get super into the power band to get up to speed, that type of thing. The Mustangs really got to rev them out to truly enjoy them. This car is no exception. You got to rev it all the way out to 7,500 RPM if you want to hit the red line in this car. However, the short gearing with the 373 rear gears helps out a lot. One of the things I didn't really care for in the new GT350 was that the gearing was so long in that car. So you sit in second gear and it just keeps going, and that's where, you know, that's where you stay, doing pulls and things like that. Now with this car, what makes this car so fun is that the gearing is so short. I mean, I just took off from a stop there and it's like already getting all the way revved out. So we're gonna put it in third. I'm doing 30 miles per hour in third at 3,000 RPM. We're gonna match it into second and hit it. I feel like this gas pedal has a lot of travel to it. I feel like I'm really having to reach my foot all the way down to fully floor it. But, and I guess that's one of the other things. I haven't found a comfortable seating position in this car yet. I wonder what first gear is like in this car. The car in front of me is probably like, what on earth is going on behind me? The one thing I guess I don't care for, at least on this particular car, is Flowmaster exhaust wouldn't be my choice of aftermarket exhaust to go with. Decent bit of drone while you're just cruising down the highway. I mean, you can probably hear it. Also the fact that there's nothing really in here, no creature comforts. I mean, this is like a dedicated race car for the street. I hate to say race car, you use that word lightly. But there's nothing really extra about this interior. You got some cloth Recaro seats, you got a 6-speed manual. It's you in the car, go out and have fun, but you know, there's nothing else to really look at in here, and these seats are real friendly with your backside, let's just say that. The good thing about this car is that it's actually pretty easy to drive. Actually, I take that back, it's very easy to drive. Clutch is a little bit on the heavy side. Transmission's MT82, which is super easy to drive. It's actually one of the cars I really learned to drive manual on. It's just buttery smooth when you're just rolling through the gears. Once you start making high horsepower, that's when it's not the best, and people have had issues with their cars, but just daily driving and things like that, very easy. But it is pretty cool when you put the windows down. Can we shift it into second? This thing's fun. This thing is very fun. And this is all with the regular key. So I think now let's go ahead and let's swap it over to the track key and see if we can really tell a difference. All right, so we're gonna take this key out. Gray key coming out and red key going in. So I'm anxious to see how it changes things. From what they say, it should give me a more lopey idle. It says track key active, track use only. Yeah, okay, sure. So I'll be honest, just sitting here, I can't really tell much of a difference. So let's take it for a drive and see if it's any different. So track key engine enabled. All right. Sounds good. Maybe it wasn't enabled before, so I guess we'll pull over and see if it sounds any different. 100% sounds different now. It is more lopey. It's like the exhaust is deeper. Much more torque below 3,000 RPM, like way better. I love that this car lets you have fun with the traction control still on. This is all traction control on, and it lets you slide around like that. I love this car. There's so many other cars out there that would just kill all the power, all the fun. It would just say, no fun for you, but not this thing. I love that. Super playful, very easy to just kind of toss into a corner. I don't think I'm as confident going down a back road and that type of thing as I would be in, let's just say, a standard 6th gen Camaro. I don't feel like the handling capabilities are quite there. However, this is 2012 Ford Mustang versus something a little bit newer. So I guess it does take a little bit of mileage before that track key kicks in. I don't know if you can really tell much, but here at an idle, it's a little bit more lopey. And as long as we don't get pulled over, it should be fun. Oh no, this guy lost the box. lose here, buddy? It looks like the bottom half of a popcorn stand. Sorry about your popcorn. So the clouds around me are getting awfully dark, so I think I might go ahead and call this one and start heading back to the house. But overall, absolutely love the Boss 302 Mustang. To be honest, going into it, I thought, well, maybe it's just going to be another Mustang, and it's just going to have me like, yeah, it's a cool Mustang, but totally different than what I was really expecting. It's like if you take a GT Mustang and just put everything up 6 notches is kind of where you get with this. I mean, would I buy this over a GT500 the same year? That's a tough question. I guess it just depends on what you plan to do with the car and how you plan to do it. But for the true enthusiast, the person that really knows what the Boss 302 is, what it stands for, and what it meant for Ford, the Boss 302 is definitely a great choice. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. I'm very glad to take away from this review that it's not just another Mustang that has some slight tweaks here and there. It is its own car, and everything that they did really just makes it into a great car, and I truly appreciate all the work that the Ford engineers put into this car, because it really is that good. And sitting here thinking that this car came out in 2012, and I mean, by even today's standard, 2020 standards, it's a great car. So this car was definitely ahead of its time. I think it's going to age nicely, and honestly, the values of these cars speaks for that. So when this car new came out, it was like 42, mid 40s, let's say. Nowadays, to find these in decent shape, low mileage, they're in the mid 30s. So they've held their value really well comparatively to most other cars. When you buy them back in 2012 for $40-something thousand, now they're worth what, 10? So I mean, I guess people have figured out that these are great cars, and the market says a lot for that. And speaking of this car, it was actually owned by somebody that follows me on my Instagram page who lives out of state, messaged me and says, hey man, I'm just looking to sell my car, and Parkway Chevrolet took this car in on trade, so this is something that is available to purchase. It's got less than 15,000 miles. It's like 14.4, 14.5, somewhere in that range. Very good condition, well taken care of. It's got a car cover and things like that in the trunk back there. It's got both keys, of course, some like Boss 302, kind of like a little pamphlet when you're the first owner, has like all the documentation and all that good stuff. So if you're looking for a really well taken care of Boss, then this is a great option. So hit me up if you are interested, but like I said, I've got nothing but good things to say about this car. Truly impressed, and I'm very glad to say that, because I was hoping I wouldn't go into it and be like, yeah, it's cool, but I'd probably get the GT500. Now after driving it, it's really cool, and I don't know what I would buy, this or a GT500. So as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you're in the market for this car or any other new or pre-owned car, come hit your boy up over at Parkway Chevrolet. Message me on Instagram. We'll get you guys hooked up. So thank y'all for watching this video, and we will see y'all in the next one. Take it easy.